So when you're doing an oil change, personally I like to have a can of parts cleaner just to make sure that everything's nice and clean. You don't get any oil stains on anything. You need your oil filter, your oil, and then you want to have some open box end wrenches. You want to make sure you have them with both ends. And then sometimes when you're taking off the old filter, depending on how much oil is in the car, it'll be filled with oil, so you might want to do a pre-puncture and drain some of that oil, so that way when you're unscrewing the filter you don't spill oil all over yourself. And then depending on how tight the filter is on, I like to have a pair of pipe pliers on me just in case, and those are what you need to be prepared. Alright, so the first thing you want to do when you get underneath your car is locate your drain plug, which will be in the bottom of your engine block. And you want to look for the lowest lying area. That'll most likely be your oil pan. And then you want to find the lowest screw that'll be most of the time it'll be shooting out at a horizontal angle. And then what you want to do next is take your wrench, make sure you have the closed circle end so that way you don't strip the bolt. And then you want to place it on there and make sure you have the right size, and you'll know you have the right size when it's a nice snug fit and there's not a lot of free play. Free play will usually lead to stripping the bolt. And then you want to turn it to loosen it, and very slowly, and then it'll loosen pretty quickly, and then you can use your fingers. And then you want to bring your bucket or your oil drain pan decently close. And then you're going to unscrew it and try and, it's a big flow when it first comes out, so you want to make sure that you have the bucket ready to move, so that way you minimize oil spillage coming out. And then when the screw is completely loose, you pull it free, catch the oil, and then you're just going to let it drain. Preferably when you are doing an oil change, you want to make sure the engine's vaguely hot, so that way the oil will drip freely. And then sometimes you have some little drips coming out. You just want to make sure you capture those and not let much oil spill out. But if some does, it's not the end of the world. And gradually, as the level of oil starts to deplete, the stream will get smaller, and you want to move your drain pan closer and closer so that way it catches all of that excess oil. Before you put the oil drain plug back in, you might want to take your parts cleaner, and then you just want to spray some on there. Just rotate the bolt a little bit. Don't want to do too much, and then you want to take a rag or just a paper towel, and then you just want to wipe off all that excess stuff that is collected on that, the old oil, just so everything's nice and clean when you put it back on. And you're good to go. Once your oil has started to go to single drips like that, you want to take your clean oil plug and you want to place it back in and hand screw it back into the socket. Once you have hand tightened it, you want to take your wrench, and then you just want to firmly, you don't want to over tighten it because then you'll strip it. You just want to make sure, just torque it a little bit, and then clean off any excess oil that is collected, and you're done with the oil pan. When you have your oil drained from your oil plug, you want to locate your oil filter, which will be on the oil block, on the oil pan, and you want to look for a cylindrical little, almost like a cup. And what you want to do is you want to locate it, and then depending on how loose or tight it is, You might want to use some pliers just to get some leverage to get it loose enough so you can hand turn it. But what I like to do is I like to get a paper towel in my hand, and then you want to find it and then slowly unscrew it. Oil will begin to drip midway through. You're just going to want to let that sit for a while. And then when it starts to slow down, you want to unscrew it just a little bit more, and it'll start to come out even quicker. And then you just want to repeat this process until you feel comfortable taking off the filter. And when you take off the filter, you want to make sure you keep it as straight in the same position as it was, so that way you don't dump oil all over wherever you are working or all over yourself. And you just want to dump out the excess oil. Okay, once the old oil filter's off, you want to get your new oil filter, and you want to take your finger and dip it in the old oil, and you just want to rub that on top of the new gasket and just give it a nice coating. And what that will do is that'll moisten up the gasket and give you a better seal once you screw it on. And once you have that done, you want to go back up to where the old filter was, and you want to screw the new one back on. It may take some time trying to get the threads to line up, but that's no big deal. You want to take your time, be patient. And then once you get it on, you just want to thread it and tighten it down. And then once you have it vaguely tight, then you just want to hand tighten it. And you don't want to go any harder than hand tightening, so that way you don't strip it. And once it's hand tightened, then you're all done underneath the car. Okay, once you have everything underneath the car done, you want to come to the front of the car, you want to pop your hood, and you want to locate your oil fill cap. That'll be somewhere on the engine block. And then you want to unscrew it, take it off. Now you want to take a funnel and your oil, and you want to put the funnel inside your fill cap, and then take your oil, and then you want to start off slow and just start pouring it in there. Now this car takes 5 quarts, but you would want to check with your owner's manual to make sure that you are putting the right amount of oil in the car. Once you have your oil in, you want to start up your car, and you want to let it run for a little bit. Let the engine work in that new oil. You want to locate your dipstick, which will usually have a yellow coating on it. You just want to pull that out. First time, just wipe it off, feed it back in, and then the second time you want to pull it out. You want to make sure that you have oil markings that line up with your serrated part. That'll show that you have enough oil. And if you have enough oil, then you're all done.